extinct. It can create it, above and below the water. The underwater cliffs of Formigas are the summit of a volcano. Overall, the waters of Europe's wild islands are home to more than 1,500 species. This is the spiny starfish. There are 530 fish species, like the damselfish, swarming along reef ledges. The grouper is a formidable loner. Its giant maws scare off intruders. The barred hogfish is a lot prettier than its name. It's a protogynous hermaphrodite like its cousin, the grouper. It starts off female until it reaches a certain length. Then it becomes a male, aggressively defending its territory. The archipelago's weather changes too, up to 4 seasons in a single day. And when the winds blow above, down below, no one is safe. The storm surge tears into the seafloor. But turbulence won't deter European eels from their prey. They're adaptable, living equally happily in salt and in fresh water. This is just swell. Heavy surf stirs up food. For some, that means come out and eat. For others, take cover. The powerful grouper hides in his rock grotto. In churning waters, it's tough to spot your prey. But the common terns have no choice. The first chicks have hatched, and they're waiting to be fed. Elsewhere, adults are still brooding. The nest, a few pieces of dried grass, hardly visible. The parents sit in turn for 3 weeks. Their beak, both dagger and tweezers, is perfect for catching small fish. "3,000 pairs breed here. Typically, each couple lays 3 eggs. The chicks are fed for 4 weeks, till they can fly as well as their parents. Then they're ready for takeoff on the long journey to South Africa. Under the water, survival can depend on staying still, very still, like a wide-eyed flounder. With his general-purpose military markings, the Guinean pufferfish doesn't mind being seen. The Atlantic lizardfish doesn't bother with disguises at all. It simply shimmies into the sand. This may fool both its prey and its predators. But it won't fool the pufferfish patrol. The shamefaced crab folds its pincers to protect its gills and digs itself in. Leaving no opening for the plump flatfish. Bye. A starfish flees at top speed from a marauding snail. The Triton snail feeds mainly on echinoderms like the purple sea star. It's no big deal for an octopus. No pickings for it here. Sacrificing an arm, the starfish gets away. It's escaped with its life, and the limb will grow again. These wild islands in the Atlantic are a freshwater reservoir. Vast amounts of seawater vaporize in the warm ocean air, and freed of salt, they unload onto the Atlantic islands. The common tern flies between two worlds, fishing in the sea and in the lakes. Humans brought the freshwater fish to these islands. Water flows straight off the impervious lava rock. But peat moss sucks up huge quantities of water like a sponge, taking it in through every surface. Deprived of oxygen, the dead parts of the moss never rot. The extremities keep on growing, and the moss colonizes more and more of the bare rock. Just beneath, more than 270 caves pierce these wild islands, dark and cold. Perfect for isopods, crustaceans that have their breathing organs in their legs. Or for cyanobacteria, a life form that has existed for nearly 4 billion years. Cooling lava drops create amazing shapes. Shark's teeth. It's a hollow, secret world, just waiting to be filled. Past the undersea threshold of the Azores, it's permanent night. Perfect for a nocturnal common stingray. It's not alone here. Sliding over the cavern walls, unicorn shrimp. In the camera light, combers and scorpionfish snatch at their prey. The brown moray eel is cleaning up on the cavern floor. The shrimps come up from deeper waters to spend the winter. For some, it's a short winter. The females packed with blue eggs are especially sought after. The shrimps also live off crustaceans, their own species. What's left of the moray eel's dinner? First, eat your neighbor, then take time for a spot of grooming. Nearby, on the rocks, an octopus with a human face reaches out. The stingray glides back to the ocean. Passing the hundreds of bristleworms growing in front of the cavern. Their tentacles trap particles from the passing current to eat or to construct the tubes they live in. Deeper down is a mysterious place, a rare sight in the Azores, a garden of soft corals. They don't make chalk exoskeletons like their tropical cousins. The currents carry plankton down to their home on sunken seamounts. The venomous buried anemone is active only at night. During the day, it contracts. Once, scientists couldn't agree whether corals were plants or animals, so they called them anthozoa, flower animals. No doubt about these. All the flowers on Europe's wild islands arrived from somewhere else. Hydrangeas came from Asia. Natural boundaries between fields. They're a symbol of the Azores. Hundreds of stone walls create hundreds of microclimates for the vines the settlers brought in the 15th century. "400 years later, the vineyards were abandoned as islanders left for America. The stone walls became a playground for Madeira lizards. They were brought here by seafarers too. Azores wines are now fashionable again. Nearly 1,000 hectares, more than 2,000 acres of ancient vineyards on the island of Pico have been declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. The ruts of ox carts, once the island's only transport. They dragged firewood and building materials for houses and stone walls. And they carried the new wines down to the coast to ship to Europe. but at a cost. Beneath these waters is the strangest, most dangerous place on the Azores. They call it the Anchor Graveyard. Scores of great iron anchors lying on the seabed. When an Atlantic storm hit, the only way to save your ship from the rocks was to cut the anchor rope fast and dash for the open sea. The iron left behind has become a rusting reef for a multitude of creatures. These anchors are coated by algae and tube worms. A shark's outline protects hiding fish. The grim-looking sea robin feels its way. The 3 front spines of its pectoral fins have their own receptor cells for finding food. The Mediterranean moray's mouth is mournful, but it's miming the call of the sea robin's swim bladders. A common octopus discreetly searches for food. It will fit in anywhere. While bearded fireworms clear up the corpses in the Anchor Graveyard. They are the mobile relatives of the immobile tube worms. The octopus has found another spot to test its camouflage skills. Above water, too, human presence is everywhere, even in the craters. Any straight line means a wall. One that protects the grazing horses and cattle. By keeping the grass short, these domestic animals help the seasonal visitors that have been coming here for thousands of years. The ruddy turnstone digs to find fresh food. Black-bellied plover fly in from Russia on their way to their winter quarters in South America and South Africa. The ruddy turnstone drops in from the Arctic. The northern wheatear arrived from Canada via Greenland. The American pipit drifted in from North America. The blackbird? Well, it's here all year round. It's an endemic variety. The male is darker and glossier than its mainland cousin. Birds have to transport their own weight. A little body